Hi, I'm Bethany Warren, and you are joining me to listen to the podcast of our Millwall fan show with the No One Likes Us Talking team, which is available every Friday at 8 p.m.
Hello, it is Friday. I'm your host, Johnny Burrow, and I have the No One Likes Us Talking team of Bethany Warren, Jeff Burnage, and Ted Robinson.
Not everybody likes them, but they don't care.
Hello to you all, great to catch up. Bethany, have you been campaigning this week, criticising anybody, or just been busy at work?
I've been really busy at work. Retail's been not busier than I expected, but not crazy. Obviously, everyone's still getting used to wearing masks, sanitising every time you go in or go out. But yeah, it's been super busy, but it's been great to be back, being a little bit more normal.
Great to hear, yeah. Everyone's starting to get back to a bit of normality. Jeff Burnage, of course, back in the hot seat for the second week on the trot. Any faux pas this week, Jeff?
No, I'm still fed up. I'm still working from home and I've had just about enough of it, I can tell you. If it wasn't for the football restarting and my grandchildren to see at the weekend, I think I'd be absolutely ready for the funny farm.
Well, at least you've got that to get you through it. And we've got Ted Robinson as well. Ted, have you visited the visualisations within the railway arch in Zampa Road like a number of the No One Likes Us Talking team have yet?
No, I haven't so far, Johnny, but I've just been walking around with a massive, great smile on my face since Friday night, which is, having beaten our neighbours down the road, it's the best pick you up. As I said to my Charlton friends when I see them the day after, it took Millwall to bring some normality back to this world. Beating Charlton's just a normal thing, so I'm as happy as anything, mate.
Well, lots to smile about on the show. Great celebrations in the homes of Lions fans after the win at the Valley last Friday night too. The final whistle brought a unique response from the Millwall players, led by captain Alex Pearce, who went to the corner of where the away fans would normally be located to applaud a Millwall flag hanging from the block of flats behind the Jimmy Seed stand. A fantastic response in challenging times from Pearce and the whole team. Sadly, Wednesday's game did not stand up to its billing, and the Lions fell behind to a controversial goal in the second half from Asomba Longa. Things got worse when Millwall was stretched, pushing forward for an equaliser, and they were found short at the back, with Cooper giving a penalty away when chasing Fletcher, who converted from the spot. What did you guys make of it?
Well, I've got to be honest, Johnny, you know my passion about Millwall and Charlton games, and
I do.
The game Friday night was pretty much even Steven to a certain extent, although I thought we controlled it better than Charlton, but Charlton seemed to, I don't know, they had probably the best chance of the game with Bon and Bark come to our rescue a bit there, but then Jed had a similar chance at the other end. But it just had the feel of a one-goal game, if anything. And I must admit, that is the most extraordinary goal I've ever witnessed between Millwall and Charlton. Because when it went in, I didn't have a clue who scored. I just really didn't realise that it was Jake Cooper up there, of all people, hitting the ball with his right foot into the roof of the net. But it was a battling performance. I think we probably just about deserved the win out of it. But who cares? It was Charlton. We won. But Middlesbrough, we seem to have run out of steam a little bit. In the first half, what I must say, though, you have to give credit sometimes to the opposition. And Neil Warnock knows about Millwall inside out, and he put out a physical, strong, athletic side. And what is something I haven't seen too often this season, they actually bullied us a bit, especially first half. They was bullying us around the park. Saville was getting the better of Sean Williams in the middle of the park. And it was putting us on the back foot all the time. And the strangest thing about the game was we just, after Gary made the changes, got right into it. The keeper pulled off a fantastic save from Matt Smith and then another one from Mahoney. We're on top. It looks like if it's going to go anyway, it's going to go our way. And then how on earth the linesman missed what happened to Jake Cooper on the just inside the halfway line, I will never know. It's not an obvious foul in a sense, but he was clipped from behind. It's like an ankle tap, and he's gone down. And like Gary Rowett said afterwards, the linesman's no more than 2 yards away. If VAR had been on there, it wouldn't have been a goal. But once you went one behind, it was always going to be difficult. But overall, it was a disappointing display, to be quite honest. We didn't have the sort of verve and the sometimes we do need the crowd behind us as a team that just lifts us at times when we are running a bit on empty, and unfortunately his hands were tied a little bit with the options for up front. But listen, I'm like Jeff. I heard Jeff say earlier, and I know what Jeff thinks. I think he thinks exactly the same as me. If we beat Hull on Saturday and we finish up 2 or 3 points behind with 3 games to go, it ain't over. Yes, it's a long shot, but it's not over. Mathematically, it's still there. I thought it was over the other day, and then all of a sudden I found ourselves within 2-3 points of the playoff spot. So after the weekend, it's a massive weekend in that respect. If we lose at Hull, then there's a fair chance we are going to be completely out of it. But if we win, with a bit of luck, we might still be in with a shout.
Yeah, I agree with Ted. As you said, we did agree with each other on this one. The Charlton game, I do think that we played well. I thought we were largely in control of that game, and I think we were trying to win the game more than Charlton were, and I think that's why we left ourselves open to a couple of chances for them on the counter-attack. Jed's chance that the goalkeeper saved, if you look at it again, it hit him in the face, didn't it? So Jed was very unlucky not to score there. The he said about Wednesday the better, it is clear that we didn't play very well, but that game turned on one crazy decision. Who knows what would have happened if that hadn't been given, which it shouldn't have been.
I think even the cardboard cutouts were getting upset at that decision. I see 1 or 2 of them moving. I thought they was going for the referee, but it was that bad a decision.
So there was a cardboard pitch invasion on the card.
Only at Millwall, Jeff. Only at Millwall.
Yeah, I think it was such a poor decision by both officials, especially when our attacking players get nothing in the last few games. The amount of times that Smith was having his shirt pulled not long ago, you get nothing for that, and then we get nothing again, but then their players always seem to get everything. But that's just the old conspiracy of against Millwall getting close to any kind of good position that creeping in for me there. But I think Borough pressed well, but I wouldn't say they deserved a win, but I wouldn't say we deserved a win either. But there were some good signs in there. Tomo looks sharp, Mahoney looks really good, so there's positives in it, but it was probably a really disappointing Wednesday afternoon for me.
Just one point I would make. Poor old Matt Smith, whatever contact there is in the box from any set piece, he always gets a foul given against him. Always.
Yeah. Do you think that's just because he's 8'5", Jeff?
I think that's it. I just think there's a mindset in the officials, it must be him. So I think we should use him as a decoy for these set pieces. It's not as if Jake Cooper's not a threat and Sean Hutchinson's not a threat and Murray Wallace isn't a threat. So I think it's pointless using Smith as the target from them. He has to be completely free to not be penalised, like he was for the chance that their keeper saved, which was a good save.
And that's the thing is, Jeff, that save that the keeper made, that is how you play to Matt Smith. I said it at the start of the season. In open play, as you say, when you've got a dead ball situation, people are going to crowd round him, are going to put themselves in front of him. So if you're aiming for him, he's the first man the opposition are going to pick out to mark because they know he's the danger. But when you've got open play and you get the ball into the box early or the sort of cross that Conor Mahoney put into it, 9 times out of 10, Matt Smith will get his head on the end of it and it becomes a chance. But unfortunately, since we've come back, them chances that have been given to Matt Smith have been few and far between, I think. If you're going to have him out on the pitch, then let's play properly to him. Don't worry about these long balls up in the air to him. Let's get it out wide and get it into the box where he can attack football, because that's where Matt Smith's going to get your goals.
And if you do that, he will get you goals.
He will, yeah. And the one other thing I was going to say, Ben Thompson was a Ben Thompson performance the other night. He ran around like he always does, Ben and that. But I've got to tell you something, he's not a forward. He needs to be running from midfield. That is the best place for Ben Thompson. Where you play him in a free like that, I know why Gary Rowett's done it, but all that does is says that he's not got the confidence in Conor Mahoney to start or Scalak to start or whatever. Ben Thompson's best position, we've all seen it, is when he plays just off the front man, attacking from midfield, the position that Ryan Leonard played when we first came back. And he'd be more effective that way. Because when you're playing up front like that, it's a different game. And you tend to sometimes have your back to goal. And Ben's not that sort of player. He needs to be running onto it, in my opinion.
A frustrating day out against Middlesbrough. Hopefully there'll be more to smile about against Hull at the weekend, and lots to talk about on the show as well. We welcome a Barnsley-born former Lion. It's not Mick McCarthy. He started his footballing career at Sheffield Wednesday as a youth. He also gained England under-19 honours while with the Owls. After almost 7 seasons at Hillsborough, he initially joined Millwall on loan in October 2012. In the second game of his loan, he became a firm fans' favourite when he scored the equaliser at Selhurst Park to deny Palace a 6th straight win. In January of 2013, his loan was made into a permanent deal, and as one of our most consistent defenders, he remained at the Den until July 2016 when he joined Bolton. He has since moved on and is now plying his trade at Peterborough United. Welcome, Mark Beavers. Mark, great to have you with us.
My pleasure. Good evening.
Really great to talk to you. And I've got to ask, do you remember that first goal you scored for the Lions at Selhurst Park? You sent the fans into mass hysteria, a 2-2 draw, but more importantly, it stopped that Palace winning streak.
Yeah, I definitely do remember that goal, and I'll start by saying, what a finish. But I can't remember who crossed it, to be honest. I don't know if it was Wrighty or Scotty Malone. I can't remember. And it just seemed to come to me. I was back stick and all by myself, and I just stuck my knee out and it's gone top corner. But yeah, it was great to score the equaliser. And to be fair, I'll not lie, I didn't actually know the rivalry, how great it was between Millwall and Crystal Palace at the time. So obviously me being from up north, I just thought, it's all West Ham kind of thing and Charlton. But yeah, afterwards, obviously scoring the equaliser, I heard all about it, and it was a massive goal. So I think that was my second game at Millwall. So it was nice to get off the mark personally, and I think we were having a good run ourselves at that point. I think we were like top 6, something like that. So it was a great start for me.
Yeah, definitely. So you had a load at MK Dons before joining Millwall. What was it that convinced you to move down to the Den?
Well, it was a funny one, to be fair. I was playing at Sheffield Wednesday at the time. I didn't start the season, but I came off the bench first game of the season, and I played the following 7. And one of the centre-halves came back fit, and I got the call from Millwall on a Thursday night, and I just gave it the green light straight away, jumped in my car, trained on the Friday, and my first game against Bolton, we beat them 2-1. So there wasn't much time to think, to be honest. It was obviously the level of football for me in the Championship, and obviously Millwall is a big club, so it was great for me to get the opportunity, and I came down and never turned back, to be honest. Everything just seemed to fall into place for me. The lads were great, the team was doing well, enjoyed where I was living, the fans were great with me as well, and it was just fantastic times. So I had no hesitation in signing when Kenny Jackett asked me to sign in January permanently.
That's the way we get most of our players, Mark. They don't think about it. If they think about it, they don't normally come. But at the end of that season, mate, we remained in the Championship, but it was close run thing, if I remember rightly. But we did have a FA Cup semi-final. We played at Wigan. What are your memories of that season and when you was playing alongside a bit of a man Manting? I don't normally use them sort of words. I just say he was a lump. But Danny Shittu. But he took up most of the back four on his own, Danny, didn't he? But you seemed to have a good partnership with him. He was a character, wasn't he?
We did, yeah. Me and Dan got along really well, to be fair. And I think we complemented each other now we played, and what I mean by that is I did all the running and he just stood still and and headed the ball. But yeah, it was really good. I mean, that season was mad, to be fair. We started off so well, and I think by Christmas we were top 6, and then the cup run started, and then we seemed to falter a little bit in the league, but the cup run kept going. So yeah, it was, in that sense it was mad. But I mean, I remember the game at Blackburn away when Dan scored that goal, and you could hear the thud come off his head when it hit the back of the net. It was a massive goal, and to get to Wembley. I mean, looking back, a little bit of regret in that I feel as though that game I think they were there for the taking, to be honest. I don't know if you guys were there. I would imagine you would be.
Yeah.
I think they were there for the taking. I mean, I know they went on to win and beat Man City, but at the time, I don't think they were that great of a team. I think we had a good chance. I think it was an opportunity missed, to be honest. But I mean, that's been, critical, to be honest, because I mean, obviously getting to FA Cup semi-final, it's a massive achievement, and going back to the league and staying in the league as well eventually, even though at Christmas you would imagine would have been pushing for the playoffs more so than fighting relegation, but we stopped in the league, which was an achievement in the end, and to get to the FA Cup semi, I think it was a relatively successful season.
Mark, it's Jeff here. So Kenny Jackett resigned at the end of that season, didn't he? Resigned after not after the semi-final, but at the end of the season. And that must have been a little bit of a blow to you. And Steve Lomas was appointed as the new manager. What was the feeling amongst the players when you all got back together for pre-season, heading into the new season?
Well, I think first and foremost, it was a bit of a shock that Kenny left, to be honest, because he never, from inside the dressing room, give us any kind of hint that he was going to leave. So I was quite shocked personally. And then going into the season after, it was just, clean slate kind of thing. New manager, new regime, new tactics and what have you. And it was just something that we had to adapt to. But I wouldn't say there was a negative feeling at all amongst the camp when Steve Lomas came in. But obviously things didn't go too well, and it's one of them things. It didn't go well, and then obviously he had to go at some stage with the results not coming in, and Chopper took over.
Why didn't it go well, Mark?
It's in football. It's hard to say. I mean, sometimes you can say that managers lose the dressing room. I don't think that was the case. I just don't think things are going right for us, and that's just what happens in football. Obviously, people turn to the manager, and I just think it's one of them things.
It was another tough season, Mark, wasn't it? But we managed to stave off relegation again. There was a few heavy defeats, no cup runs of worth to mention. The centre-back positions, though, they weren't stable, was they? You were shuffled around amongst a group of players like Robbo, Dunny, Shane Lowry, Big Danny again. Stevie got sacked in December. Neil and Scott Fitzgerald took over a little while. Then Ian Holloway was appointed. So it was a challenging time for anyone in the team. We haven't never ever felt settled that season. That's what I was really getting to. Yeah,
I mean, I have to agree with that. I mean, especially as a defender, I think having a settled back four is massive. Then you just go from there, really. And like you say, there were quite a few players with you'd like to think are good enough to play in that team. It just seemed to me that whatever manager was in charge, they couldn't pick their favourite two. And I'm a big believer in that. You give a couple of two centre halves a chance. Say you're playing a four at the back, give two centre halves a chance, and if they don't do so well, give them another chance rather than when they don't play well, chop them out and then chuck someone else in, because you're never going to gel that partnership and that defensive unit. So it was a bit choppy changey for my liking. I think there were a couple of periods in my Millwall career, to be honest, where they were a bit choppy changey at the back, which I don't think is ever healthy, to be honest. Some managers like to change it about, but I think a defensive unit, I think it's better to to keep it solid and keep the same personnel in there as much as you can.
Yeah, so with Holloway at the helm, what were the expectations of you and your teammates? Were they heightened for the following season? What were you thinking?
I think they have to be fair, because I mean, you look at his track record, and obviously he's got promotions to the Premier League, and his managerial record speaks for itself. It's very, very good. So obviously getting someone like Ian Holloway in, I think everyone's ears perked up and thought, maybe something can happen here. And from my memory, I think we started off okay. I don't know if you're about to help me out on that. I'm not sure. I think we started off okay, but he tried to, I think, bed in a new structure in how we played, and I don't think it kind of worked. It started off working. I think it faltered a little bit, and I think fans might have turned a little bit, and it just went downhill from there, to be honest. But it was when he came in. Obviously, I don't know if you've met him. He's a character. I remember my first session when he came in. We've warmed up, and you've got onto a training pitch, and there's a speaker in each corner of the pitch. The wires running around. I'm thinking, what's going on here? It's like we've gone out to train, and he started doing shape, and he's told Birch to press play, and we're training to Michael Jackson, Billie Jean. And you're thinking, I'm looking at him, what is going on here? And he's bouncing around like, he's bubbling, he's laughing and joking and that. And I'm getting bored. I'm like, I've got Michael Jackson booming in my ears. I'm thinking, this is insane. So, I mean, he kind of did daft things like that, but they were good. They were healthy for the dressing room. And I think he tries to keep that up a lot of the time. And, unfortunately, it just didn't work out towards the end. But going back to the original questions, were the hopes high? I think they were. Like I say, I think we started off well that season, and they just didn't end as we thought they would.
He's what we call a fruitcake down south.
Down south.
Down south, yeah. He's a proper fruitcake.
Mark, you mentioned the desirability of having a constant back four, particularly the two central defenders. But we had yourself, we had Byron, we had, is it Josh Hoyfeld? Do you remember playing with him?
Yeah, big Josh, yeah. I didn't really play much with Josh, to be fair.
Danny played centre back a couple of times. Yeah. Holloway brought in Sid Nelson and made him captain when he was 19. So we were shuffling around in the centre back roles in particular. Yeah. And then he was replaced by Neil coming back, but it was too late to stave off relegation. So after 2 seasons of avoiding it by a few points, we're back in the third tier. It must have been a tough season, really.
It was a tough year, yeah. I mean, any relegation season is going to be tough. Anyone's going to tell you that. But I mean, that particular spell you're talking about there, where you've got like some me, Donny, Sid, Dan. I don't know if Shana was there. I don't think he was. So you've got Big Yoss as well. You've got a cluster of players there, which you argue that they're good enough to play at that level at that particular time. And I know Sid. Sid's a great guy. He's a good pal of mine, and he did well when he came in. So like, I wasn't in the team at the time, and I'm not going to sit back and say no, he should have been playing. He should have been playing. Sid deserved to play at that point because he was playing well, But then it goes back to my original point of chopping and changing centre halves. I don't believe it's healthy. You should stick with 2 if you can, if they're playing consistently well. And it was just a bit choppy-changey about mid-season, I think, during that season. I'm not saying that was the problem, but I felt as though it was, a problem within the defensive unit and the team. And so it proved, I believe.
Yeah, looking back at Neil's first season in charge, Mark, I mean, do you ever think we was going to get the playoff final? I mean, my dream in the playoff final, you being a Barnsley lad, it was quite clear to me what was going to happen. You was going to score the only goal and we was going to win 1-0. Well, you kept your side of the bargain that end, but not quite the other end.
No.
But, was it from the start of the season that you thought we would get to the playoff final, or what did you reckon?
I don't remember actually thinking at the start of that season, we're going to do one or the other. I think we kind of just took each game as it came, and we just, climbed into the playoffs. I think we had spells during that season where we weren't playing particularly well. then we'd go on a massive run of games where we'd win. And, looking back at that team that we had at that level, I think it should be competing top end. You had Greggs and Morrow up top, who in that league are comfortably the best strike force in the league, we thought.
Yeah.
So looking at the squad we had Shawnee Williams, myself, and going back to defensive partnerships, obviously me and Big Webbs, we had, when we did get together, I think it took a bit of time. So I don't know why, but I think it was Ian Holloway again that didn't fancy us, playing together for some strange reason. And Chopper came in and he put me and Webbs together, and we never looked back. But yeah, that season we just kind of took each game as it come, and we just ended up getting into the playoffs. And I think we were in the playoffs with a couple of games to go, and we beat Gillingham last game of the season 2-1 and managed to get into fourth. Was it? Did we finish fourth that season?
I think we did. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was a big game in terms of we had Bradford to play at home the second leg if we beat Gillingham the last game of the season. And going into the playoffs, I think we fancied ourselves massively. We looked at the teams in there, and I think we thought at the time Bradford would be the toughest one. We got them in the semis, obviously, and to come away with a 3-1 win away was, dreams. What dreams are made of. I mean, going to Bradford, it's not a nice place to go to the best of times.
No, it's up north. That's why.
God, I teed you up there, did I?
I didn't mean that, mate. It was not a bad place to score your final goal for us, though, was it, Wembley?
No, it wasn't. But I mean, obviously, it's one of them bits. One of them where it's nice to score a goal personally, but I'd much rather not scored a goal and gone up. But I think in any playoff final, it's kind of, it's daft as it sounds, best team wins, because it's just how you play on the day. And I think we conceded a couple of sloppy goals and managed to get one back, and then I think we're on top after that. To be fair, I think we're pushing for the equalised, and then the sucker punch came from a corner, and it was game over. But I think again, Barnsley were an informed team at the time. I think they went on a mammoth run and snuck in at 6th place, and then they were a formed team. But we were also a formed team as well. So, yeah, it was a tough pill to swallow. That having such a good season and not getting promoted. But I mean, obviously, I left the end of that season, and thankfully the lads did it the year after.
And Mark, Neil Harris has spoken about your return up north after that loss against Barnsley quite a lot. The fans obviously gutted to see you go. You'd put in some out-of-this-world performances that season. And let's be honest, they loved you ever since that goal at Palace, so they were never going to want you to go to Bolton. But from your point of view now, looking back on it, how do you remember the fans during your stay at the Den? And do you still kind of follow the results of the team at all?
Yeah, of course, definitely. I definitely still follow the results. Yeah, I mean, going to the fans. I mean, Millwall's one of them clubs that I think what the fans want to see is a bit of grit and determination. If you give them that, then you've got half a chance to get them on your side. From my experience, but I mean, they were great with me. The fans. I love the fans down at Millwall. They were good with me, and obviously got off to a great start as well. So it was good in that sense.
You obviously couldn't hear me shouting at you at times, Mark.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong, you get a few of them. I mean, when I went back down to Millwall with Bolton, obviously it was on a Tuesday night, and I got a small crowd giving me a boost, but that's to be expected, isn't it? But looking back, I mean, it wasn't an easy decision for me to leave. To be honest, it was strictly family reasons, because we just had our little girl. In 2014, so we just stopped up. I think it was the game after Bournemouth, and we had our little girl down there, and we're quite isolated as a family. So our family were all up north, and a lot of visiting. So to get back up north for me, it was all personal reasons, to be fair. But I mean, like I say, it wasn't an easy decision, because I absolutely loved my time down at Millwall. It was a great part of my career so far.
Well, Mark, you're still hugely well thought of by all the fans there. It's been fantastic to talk to you as well, to catch up. All the best for Peterborough next season as well. But before you go, How about just a quick prediction for Hull versus Millwall for this Saturday?
Millwall will win. I believe they'll win.
4-0?
4's a bit optimistic. I'm going... Is it away?
Yeah, we can't win at home.
It's away. Yeah, I'm going for a 2-0.
Top man indeed. Well, Mark,
you obviously don't like old, does he?
Well, who does, to be fair? Mark Beavers there, of course, a real favourite with the Millwall faithful. We'll take a break there and we'll be back with Indiana Maslin, who wrote the running order, or should I say Patricia Maslin, and the Zampa Road murals.
Bethany Warren here again. Thanks for listening to our show. Don't forget, Love Sport Radio is now mothballed pending change in current conditions. You can still listen though to music both online and on DAB. Podcasts are available on demand. Hopefully we'll be back on the air with them when normality returns to the marketplace.
I'm Johnny Burrow and I am back with the No One Likes Us Talking team of Bethany, Jeff and Ted. But firstly, we're going to hear from our roving reporter Patricia Maslin in a car underneath the arch in Zampa Road, just over 100 metres from the Den, talking with artist Kieran.
My name's Patricia Maslin and in the car with me today I've got Kieran, 1/3 of the artist troupe who are putting up the new Neil Harris graffiti. Kieran was actually one of the originals and the designer. Going back to the original Kieran, can you tell us a bit about it, why and when and how it got put up?
Well, I mean, we only realised the other day when it was painted over by Network Rail that it's 10 years old. We did it in, I think it was May the 10th, 2010. And we just wanted to do it for a crack. All three of us are from Deptford. Used to drink at the Deptford Arms, go to games and stuff. Good day out at Wembley. It was just a good time. You know, we've got an artist studio down in Deptford where we're doing canvases of like various things. But we've never really done anything kind of like local or stuff that kind of meant something for us. We're always painting other people's heroes and stuff. A Friday night idea, as all good ideas are, and you know we'd had a few beers in the studio, and then so we came up here with all the supplies and dressed in balaclavas and shit because you got the cameras behind.
Absolutely.
Then we had to paint the backing, and you know for anyone who remembers it was a really rough road job.
Yeah.
Because literally we did that in 5 minutes flat. I mean the whole thing was done within 10 minutes, but we were up here for about 3 hours because we had to wait for the paint to dry. So we just had like loads more beers, watching paint dry for a couple of hours, wearing balaclavas in the middle of Zampa Road, and I mean, how we didn't get lifted, I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, over the years, we've been surprised how iconic it's got. I mean,
gobsmacked.
The media use it. Every single supporter have had their photos done in front of it.
No, I mean, no word of a lie. Absolutely, I mean, it's ridiculous. Yeah, when you do something like that, you think it might have a lifespan of a couple of weeks. And I remember coming back up here in the new season in around like late August, September, and just seeing it. I'll be truthful, I forgot we'd even done it.
Really?
And that was just like a couple of months later. And then just seeing the reaction that people had it. I mean, we were in like the week after we had it. One of the boys that I did it with, Sol, called me up and he says, "Oh, you won't believe this, lads. We're in the paper." And I'm like, "What?"
Yeah, I mean, you Google it, it's everywhere.
Yeah, and it's, I think it was something, "Are you the Millwall Banksy?" or "Are you the Gordon Banksy?" or something. Yeah, so the paper was hitting us up, and Solly, you know, he's not. Oh yeah, he's a good friend of ours, and you know, he's always around. But he's not. Me and Pat were the full-time artists and stuff. Solly just wanted to get involved because he's passionate about the club.
So from that point of being illegal, we're here today, and it's all legal, and we've got all the paperwork.
Well, I mean, look, this is the biggest joke of it all. When people from the club were wanting to get in touch with me, and I was a little bit. just like, why? and then suddenly I got a DM, were you the original artist? And I'm like, might be. Network Rail have painted it over, and everyone's really angry. And then I'm like, really? And then he says me like, God, I mean, this has had more press than bloody Princess Diana. And I'm like, really? I mean, this is 10 years old. And he's like, yeah, I mean, it's a travesty that's been taken down. And I'm like, by this stage, it's been repainted by other people about 3 or 4 times.
Well, people loved it so much. As soon as someone graffitied over it, they'd come and
I total respect for that.
Yeah.
But it almost not became the communities. It was an art piece. It just became more than that. But when he said, "Would you like to redo it?" I was like, "Well, I tell you what, yeah." And we've got an actual better plan, because the artwork that you see there is the exact same artwork as the original Harris.
But the image we're seeing is slightly bigger than the original. How does that come about?
It's called vector artwork, so you do it the size of the computer, and you can literally scale up to that size. I can make it 100 times that size. It's just it scales perfectly.
So we started yesterday with the original, and I mean, I was here and it was really windy, and obviously we was having a hard time. Even I was holding bits of it for you.
Yeah.
We're back today. Do you think you'll get it finished today?
Oh, 100%. I mean, we came up on Sunday just to do the background, so we weren't like the first time spending 3 hours watching paint dry. So we prepped it all up nicely, but it was really windy on Sunday. And I was like, I'm not looking forward to this if this wind's going to be like this, and it was really bad yesterday, and it was gusty as well. Yeah. And you were saying it's like when we were off cutting stencils, there was no wind, and then literally Murphy's Law. The minute we turned up, it just kind of.
It was up that ladder. I could see you struggling.
And so, like, we were breaking the golden rule of measure twice, paint once, because you just wanted to get, as soon as you got it up there and you could get a bit of tape down, you just started painting straight away. And we made a little mistake on the arm where it was just too. We got the angle right, but it was just too high up.
Yeah.
So it was starting to look like a Picasso.
Yeah.
But without being a Picasso. What started off as an illegal bit of graffiti in a railway tunnel ended up with an official apology from Network Rail to said yobs. And giving us an official invitation to come paint it again. Which, you know, in this world is just unheard of.
Yeah.
So anyone who's interested, we're actually painted canvases, mini canvases that we're going to be selling. Because, we've done this, for cost.
The sign is said canvases.
Yeah. I mean, they're all hand sprayed. The stencil is exactly the same as the big one. Right. They're hand painted. They're not print.
I mean, at the end of this, we not only have to thank the MSC and the club, but also Network Rail. Thank you for doing this interview for me, and thank you for putting Neil back where he belonged.
Well, that was Patricia Maslin there in a car underneath the arch in Zampa Road talking with artist Kieran. What a story. You couldn't make it up, but there are 2 images there. The replacement of the iconic Neil Harris image that was mistakenly obliterated by Network Rail that we've just heard about, plus a new image of a lion rampant beside a blue Millwall sign on the opposite side of the arch, created by Lionel Stanhope, a scenic artist / street artist with a leaning towards topography, living in Brockley, South East London. So guys, what do you reckon about these 2 murals? Fit for purpose?
I've got an horrible image of Free when you said that, because of Pat doing her interview under there as well. That's given me a bit of an image. No, listen, they're fantastic. For when you think of what just a plain wall that the arch is to walk through, what a better way to walk up to the den than to see them 2 paintings there. I think it was a fantastic idea, and it was obviously a travesty when they painted over the original one, but now we got 2 for the price of 1, so I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, me too. Well done, Pat, for being involved in that with Kieran and the others. It needed redoing because it was looking a bit sad, wasn't it, by the time it disappeared. It wasn't obviously Neil, but I'm looking forward. I'm going to see it this weekend. So either tomorrow or Sunday, I'll go down there and have a look. I'm dying to see it.
Yeah, it's certainly quite some sight, isn't it? Bethany, what's your thoughts? Do you have a favourite of the two murals?
Oh, I don't. I wouldn't say I have a favourite. I think they're two. It's nice that they're two very different ones. It's nice that we have Neil on there. Obviously, I'm a big Neil Harris fan. I always have been since I was little. So I love it anyway. But then the lion is us. So it's nice to have something that's like, a player, and then something that represents the fans as well. So I really like them both.
Yeah, absolutely. Two great pictures to have so close to the stadium. And if you want a painted and signed version of the Neil Harris image in the arch, contact us via our social media pages and we will put you in touch with Kieran. It's also been said that the arches that surround the den could receive further iconic Millwall images, and Patricia has been prompted to contact TfL to see if local bus stops could have a similar treatment. We will await further details and keep you up to date with all of that. But for now, it's time for Fan in the Dugout. And tonight's Fan in the Dugout has made an appearance in this role before. Since following the Lions, he's been a keen contributor on a number of the Facebook Millwall fan sites. He's been harassed by Patricia Maslin, but then who hasn't? But despite that, he still makes good contributions. He comes from one of the most appropriately named places for a Millwall fan to come from. We bring you the man from Milwaukee, USA, to share his thoughts. Welcome, Daryl Brugging. How has COVID-19 been affecting you across the pond?
Hi, Johnny. Nice to hear all of your voices again, and thanks for getting me in trouble with Patricia. Appreciate it.
No problem.
So, no, it's been fine. Really, it's to say I've been pretty much personally, to a great degree, unaffected by. My family's been good, and no, I'm working, regular hours, so that's a good thing. So no worries.
Fantastic.
Brilliant. So what have you made of our performances since we've returned to football in June?
Well, Bethany, good to hear your pleasant voice. And unlike your voice, the football's probably been a little bit dreadful here lately. And, I just kind of look back at before the whole break came about, and you look at our home form, and I think we were like 8 wins, 7 draws, 3 losses in the championship. And since then, we got 1 draw in 3 matches. So I don't think there's any doubt that the players have missed the energy that the fans bring to the den. I don't think you can really underestimate what that encouragement brings to them, and adds to the adrenaline and their effort, and just the will to want to win and not disappoint the supporters, on game day. So, a real shame that we had some momentum building going to the break. It was lost. I really like, the acquisitions that we made in the preseason. I mean, Bart's been brilliant in goal. Malumbi was a great loan move. I think Mahoney is a player that he got off to a decent start, struggled a bit. I hope we can, get him looking a little more like he did against Charlton, and hope we can get him sorted out for next year, because I think there's a good player there. And then, of course, bringing Ryan Woods was outstanding. I didn't expect this squad, even though it was improved, I didn't think they'd make the playoffs. I thought we were probably good enough to finish mid-table somewhere. And so I think probably end of the year, we'll all kind of agree this was a step in the right direction. And even though it doesn't feel that way after Wednesday's performance.
Darryl, what do you think about the introduction of these 5 substitutes in these final games? It's a bit of an American style of thing with a break like that. People are saying we're now playing 4 quarters, but they're stopping for the water breaks, which made me laugh the other day, because if they'd have pointed their mouths up to the sky, they'd have got a load of water because it was pouring down. But what do you reckon about the 5 subs? Do you think we're going to finish up keeping it? I mean, I don't particularly like it, but what do you reckon, Darryl?
Well, that is kind of a concern of mine. I can understand why they're doing the 5 subs. I think, with the number of games that we have compressed here in that final run-in, I know everyone's very concerned about the health and safety of the players and the staff. And so I think when you look at that, I can see why they're probably doing the 5 players right now. The water breaks, I'm not a fan of that. I think with the 5 subs, I don't understand quite why we need to have water breaks. To me, it just amounts to nothing more than kind of a timeout for the gaffer to kind of reorganize his team.
Yeah.
I just don't think that's that's what it's really should be, for. And I just prefer to see all these adjustments being made during the normal flow of the game. So, but I kind of like you, I'm a little concerned that they're going to think, oh, this is a great idea, let's keep it. I think 3 is fine, and I hope that's the way it remains.
I think
I'm sure that was brought in just for this mini season we're having now, because they had to convince the government that they were doing it safely. So I think extra substitutes was designed to help prevent injuries, and the same with the breaks. I mean, calling them water breaks has turned out to be a bit of a joke. I don't think either of those will be involved next season, to be honest. In the meanwhile, Darren, how do you think our midfield has been performing? And what do you think the future holds for the players you've already mentioned in that midfield area? Got to include Tomo, got to include Ryan Leonard, and you haven't mentioned Mason Bennett. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Bennett. It would be nice to see a little more from him. We see some good moments. I think what he brings. I think on the times he's been on the left side has been really very good, but sure would like to see more of him. Injuries or for whatever reason. I do think again, Malumbi and Woods have been very good for us. I think we have a need for somebody who can be a bit more attacking in that midfield. Probably the injury to Ben Thompson, really kind of hurt us in that sense. The bottom line is we got 2 lone players in the middle of that midfield. I think Malumbi, there may be a decent chance or a chance that we could get him on loan for a second year. I mean, Brighton appears to be staying up. Now, obviously, if they think he's ready to come into their lineup or he's going to make regular appearances off the bench for them, then it's not going to happen. But I think there's a chance we could get him for a second year. Woods, I just don't see how he ends up at Millwall next year. I think if whether Stoke stays in the Championship or they're relegated, I think they're going to be selling players probably to stay under financial fair play, and maybe he's just going to go straight into their midfield next year. And I think and they may sell him. They could if they drop to League One, but they bought him for, I believe it was about £8 million, and I know they're not going to get anything near that for him. But I don't think he's going to be available at a price we're willing to pay or can afford. So, I mean, I think some of the other players you mentioned. Who else was? I forget if there was somebody else you had mentioned, but
Ben Thompson.
Yeah, Ben Thompson. Again, I think he needs some time to get back up to speed too. And I think he could help us in the attacking sense. I think we may be missing him a little bit, and that may be part of why we've been misfiring a little bit as well.
Well, that's the midfield sorted out, Daryl. What about up front? I think we've been a little bit unfortunate with the fact that John Daddy's been injured, Aidan O'Brien's been injured, Mason Bennett got his injury and that. So the last few games have been a little bit sort of restricted in what we got. But I think it needs to be changed anyway. Do you?
Yeah, I was looking at, I think between our strikers, we have at least 26 goals in all competition. I mean, that's not great, but it's not horrible. And I do kind of struggle to wonder to what degree our poor form is down to the strikers themselves or whether it's a lack of service. I think Matt Smith has been a really good acquisition for us. I think he was averaging a goal about every game in about 70 minutes. So that's a pretty good return from him. He's also had 5 assists. Bradshaw, I'm a little concerned there. I think he's only scoring about a goal every 3 games. And then, Bodvarsson is at about a goal every 4 games. So I do think we could use an upgraded striker. I just don't know if we're going to see it next year. I mean, we've got our strikers are under contract. This coronavirus thing, how much has it hurt the club's finances? So, and we don't, and again, the other thing is we don't know, are the fans going to be back in the stadiums come around September when the new season starts? And when you start thinking about that, what that could potentially do to your finances as well. The fact we've got 3 strikers under contract, I don't know if we're going to do anything there. If we do, it might be a free transfer. We might see if we can pick up, and I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. We try and find somebody that's out there and see if we can, turn them into having a good season. So,
So we appear to be out of the playoff hunt. Not everyone thinks that, because the teams are all looking to finish sixth. We're struggling, but the other day everyone seemed to be scoring late, didn't they? So we look as if we're out of the hunt. What would you like to see the manager do, Daryl, about team selection from now on?
Yeah, I kind of agree with you that we're probably out of this thing. I mean, we're 5 games back, or 5 points back with like 4 to play, and there's like 5 teams between us and a playoff spot. I mean, strangely enough, I think if we won our last 4 games, we'd probably make the playoffs. But there's no indication that we're going to be able to do that. So I think in the meantime, put your best foot forward, put your best lineup out there till you're pretty much officially done and dusted. But assuming that's going to happen and we're going to be out of the picture. I think Billy Mitchell, I think we want to see him play in the midfield. And I question for you, if you guys, I haven't had a chance to see him, obviously, in the youth, at the youth level. But what has been his midfield position primarily that he has played for the squad?
It's been similar to the role that Ben originally played.
Okay.
Billy's got an enormous amount of energy. He's very passionate as a player. And he's got a great temperament. When he came in the other day playing right wing back, not a position that is natural to him, he looked as if he was up for it straight away. But for him to get games in the midfield, he's going to have to leave out Ryan or Jason Malumbi, I suppose. Could play the 3 of them.
I do think here at the end of the season he should get some looks in there, especially if once we're out of the picture, and it would be good to see what he can do in his role that he's accustomed to. I also look at Mahoney. I really want to see him get some more time and see what he can do. I think looking back at his history, he's been more playing on the right side but this year I think, correct me if I'm wrong, he's probably appeared more on the left side, and I don't know if that's any reason why he hasn't really clicked yet. But I think we need to see what he can do before the season is over. And I don't know if we'll get a chance to see what Tyler Berry can do. But I'm really interested in Mitchell. I'm really interested in seeing a little bit more of Mahoney and seeing what he can do.
Yeah, definitely. So, Daryl, you've looked at the proposed regeneration of the Zen images and heard that John Berylson is now eager to progress the work. What's your take on what you've seen?
Yeah, those images, it really, gets your imagination going. And then I think 34,000 seats in the stadium, and you look at the architecture. I like how they're trying to pull the past into the future. And the vision, just the whole vision of the area, it looks so different, and it really allows your imagination to run wild. And you can almost feel how vibrant game days could be outside of the stadium. We know what it's like inside the stadium, but even outside the stadium, when you think of the pubs and restaurants and people in the area, at the same time, you kind of wonder and sit back and go, is this really possible? I mean, particularly when you look at our challenging times we've got right now, and we tend to have a pretty modest budget. It feels like it may be difficult at the moment to move forward with this plan until we get back to some normalcy. And this idea that we need to start thinking about being potentially a Premier League club, that's not something we thought of in recent history either. So I really appreciate the vision that John Berylson has and his ambitions, and and as hard as it might seem to believe that something like this could actually happen, I sure wouldn't doubt him, and I'm looking forward to seeing it happen.
Well, exciting times. Daryl, thanks so much for sharing your thoughts with us. Again, great to hear from you, and of course we wish you and yours all the very best in these continuing challenging times. But before you go, how about a quick prediction for our game against Hull City on Saturday?
Well, since we seem to be getting results on the road, and I think we've got a win and a draw since the break, I'm going to go with a win. I think it's going to be Hull City 0 and Millwall 1, and maybe we'll score 6 or 7 goals and just break out of this thing. Who knows?
Well, that would be great to see. Good man. Daryl, great to talk to you as always. Daryl Brugging there, talking all the way from Milwaukee, USA. we've regularly promoted, the Millwall Community Trust is introducing its own female football academy. The new programme will have teams at under 12, under 14 and under 16 level, with a clear pathway to first team football with the Millwall Lionesses senior team, but we've been advised that their up-and-coming trials are unfortunately suspended until August, pending FA guidance. If you have or know of a girl that can get involved with those trials, get them to register for a place at the Academy trials by emailing dpalmer@millwallcommunity.org.uk. That's DPALMER, all one word, and Millwall Community is all one word too. That's dpalmer@millwallcommunity.org.uk. The trials will be subject to appropriate FA safety guidance relating to the COVID-19 pandemic. Trials for the first team will go ahead as planned, and that being this Saturday 11th and Sunday 12th of July at St Paul's Sports Ground, Salter Road, Rotherhithe. These trials will comply with the FA guidance to make sure all players, of course, are staying safe. Don't forget that your Lionesses need you. We're going to take a break there and then be back with the preview of our game at the KC Stadium this Saturday against Hull City.
Hi, Patricia Maslin here. The Millwall Community Trust needs volunteer help. Whether you're an organisation with bodies able to assist or an individual, the Trust needs you during the current conditions to support the vulnerable and needy. Current projects include providing 200 children each day with a hot and healthy meal as part of free sports and education camps over the summer, and providing assistance to those that need continuing support at this time. If you can help make a difference or need help, please contact Sean Daly, the Trust's Chief Executive Officer, by phone on 07958 027060. Once again, that's 07958 027060. Or contact by email sdaly, I'll spell that, SDALY, at millwallcommunity, all one word, .org.uk. I'll repeat that, sdaly, SDALY, at millwallcommunity, all one word, .org.uk. If you can, or you know someone or any organisation who might be able to help, please let the Community Trust know. Thank you.
I'm Johnny Burrow, and I'm back with the No One Likes Us Talking team of Bethany, Jeff and Ted to preview our away game against Hull City this Saturday. Now, I noticed that both of our guests on the show, Mark Beavers, the former Lions defender, and Daryl Brugink, our man in Milwaukee, predicted a win for the Lions. So, panel, do you agree with them?
Yeah. Is that it? No, listen... Hull were fighting for their lives, so it's going to be tough as usual. But I think I would stick with the back three, and I would still, listen. We just said if we can win this game, we may still be in with a chance of the playoffs. So it is important. I don't think we've got a problem defensive wise if he goes with the back three like we did at Charlton and like we did at the start at Middlesbrough. But I think it's up front where we might need to have to change it around a bit to try and find a little bit more up front that's gonna give. I mean, Jed, I love him to bits, but he looked a bit tired the other day. But he is our best option up there, without a doubt, Jed Wallace, and obviously Matt Smith is. But maybe it might be a time to sort of go with Tom Bradshaw again and bring Smithy on in the second half, because he always causes problem when he comes on like that. But I know Gary will be picking a side to win, and I'm quite confident we can get a result there.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, Ted. It's going to be a difficult game, but Hull are going to have to make the play. So hopefully that leaves us room at the back to exploit. But I do think that we are lacking options up front at the minute. So it's going to be a tough one, but yeah, I agree. I think it will definitely be a win.
I'm going to wait until I see what the team selection is. I think that could be very interesting, indeed. I mean, I think Ted's right. I think we will keep to the three at the back. We've played that in the last 3 away games, one of them being before the break, and we haven't conceded a goal. I think I'm right in saying. However, we have conceded 8 goals, in recent home games. I think I've got that right. I may have been exaggerating there. But a lot depends on if Mason Bennett's going to be fit this season, I think, because I think that's important. His first half performance in the first game back was good. So I think we've really missed him. But we do need to win the game. If we do, we have a home game on Tuesday, which could put us right back in the mix. So it's just too early to put in a couple of youngsters. I'm going to go for a narrow Millwall win because we don't concede goals away from home.
Well, feeling confident then against Hull City, so hopefully something to bring a few smiles after that Middlesbrough result. But of course, a bizarre situation. Millwall generally giving us something to cheer about. The world in general, things a little tougher. People continue to lose their lives to this dreadful virus, and many remain hospitalised too. Our thoughts, of course, go out to their families, friends, and those that care for them.
So following up on fans querying about the crowdy images posted on social media of a few good close-up shots of some of the group's crowdies and wondering if all the crowdies might feature, we contacted the club and a spokesperson said this: "We plan to take and upload high-resolution photos of groups for all the crowdies so people can spot theirs." So that will happen, so that's great news, and it's a good night from me.
Remember everyone, the first part of our interview special with Lions legend Les Briley was released on Tuesday and is available on our Millwall No One Likes Us Talking site on Spreaker.com. Episode 2, focusing on Millwall's rise from the 3rd tier to the top flight and then subsequent relegation, will be available next Tuesday morning. Don't miss them. Great stories from a great period of Millwall's history. And with that, it's good night from me.
And don't forget, you can use a pass or pay to tune into audio or the streamed service to hear Carl Bates on Millwall iFollow this Saturday. Make sure you can access your iFollow account well in advance to hear or view our game against Hull City. But for now, before I say good night, I'd just like to take a quick opportunity to say a huge thank you for all the people that sent me their, from the Millwall family this is, that sent me their condolences about my father who passed away at the beginning of June. It was very much appreciated. I've not had the opportunity to say a thank you. Also, a thank you to the people that are not Millwall fans. There were some other fans from other clubs which quite surprised me. It did touch me, but a lot of love back to everyone. So thank you very much for all you people, and it's good night from me.
Wonderful, and he's very well remembered as well. It's going to be Stan, Dave and Gary who will be with you next Friday when James Kelly will make his debut as host. I'm assured that they will behave impeccably for you, James. And lastly, let's not forget to still keep it safe on the streets out there. That means social distancing and a face mask where necessary. That's it from me, Johnny Burrow, and of course the No One Likes Us Talking team of Bethany, Jeff and Ted. Thanks guys, and until the next time, it's good night.